Hey there. Welcome to the More Than Anxiety podcast. I'm so excited that you decided to join me this week. I was looking back at some older episodes that I've done, and I've learned a lot in the last several years since I started this podcast in my own life, working with clients, just learning all kinds of things. And I thought it's time to take a look at some of the things that I've done in the past and refresh. This podcast is going to be sort of an addition to episode 2, which is about the vagus nerve, about toning that vagus nerve and what that means. So, if you are someone who has listened to all the episodes, some of this information might sound familiar, and part of it is going to be brand new and clean and completely different. And if this is your first episode, you picked a great one to jump into because I have lots of episodes out there about stress, about anxiety, about what it's like to be a woman with crazy hormones and children and jobs and stress and big emotions. So, we're going to talk about all of that today. If we're just meeting, my name is Megan Devito. I am a coach. I work with women who have big responsibilities, big dreams, big goals, and probably big stress and anxiety and thoughts to go with it. So, I am a teacher or a former teacher, a mom of four, and I'm really a guide to help you navigate emotions, navigate the thoughts you have, and to make different choices about what you think and about what you do so that you can feel calm, you can feel confident, and you can have the time and energy and space to do whatever the heck you want in this phase of life that we are in. So, I primarily work with high achieving women just like you, women who are out there doing all of the things. They're building careers, they're managing their homes, they're supporting their families. Maybe they've got teenage kids or maybe even little kids still. They've got aging parents and their hormones are out of whack. And we're all just trying to hold it together without losing our shits in the middle of the chaos. So, if that sounds like you're in the right place. And let's be honest, when I say chaos, it really does feel like chaos sometimes, doesn't it? And the thing is that we know that we still like, if you're like me, you're like, how am I the age that I am when I kind of feel like I'm still in my 20s, but I'm also wondering, like, is this it? This is over now? Like, I'm not supposed to try anything new because I'm too old? Mm-mm. We're still in the long game. All right. We are not old. We are still in this place where we are changing and we are growing. We're ready to do some amazing stuff. So if you are in it for the long haul, we have to slow down and we have to pace ourselves. But I know that that can feel really counteractive, or maybe counteractive isn't the word that I'm looking for, counterintuitive. And maybe you feel like, you know what, I feel like I'm in a dead sprint all the time. I don't have any time for any of this. And maybe you're skipping over the things that you really want to experience because your to do list is too long, or your brain is on fire with all the things that you have to do or worry about. And honestly, slowing down might make you feel really guilty or even just bad because it's uncomfortable, but it's also exactly what you probably want. And it's definitely what you need. So, if that sounds like you, my guess, if we were talking on a call, would be that you're probably in some low level 24/7 fight or flight. And I say that with all the love because I spent a lot of years living there. I had a diagnosed anxiety disorder for about 30 years, and I am past it now, like a solid 10 years past. It is amazing over here. I want you to come join me, and I want to be able to help you get there. So, if your days feel overwhelming before you ever even get out of bed, if you open your eyes and the first thing you think is, "Oh my god, I just can't today. I'm so tired. There's so much on my list and I do not have the emotional bandwidth for this." This episode is for you. You're in exactly the right place. If you're snapping on the people that you love the most, I'm talking about your spouse, your partner, your kids, maybe your best friend, your parents, your siblings, the people that you're like, "I love these people so much and I want to rip their heads off right now." Yeah, I got you. I feel that. I know how that's like. If you're exhausted, but also feel like your body's on fire because you're so wired. Maybe you're distracted or you're like foggy brain and you're just finding yourself like grabbing boxes of Oreos or bags of Oreos just to try to feel better for a minute. And then you're thinking, what have I done? Like, I have no idea what I've done today. Everything is a mess. I don't know if I did anything right. Mhm. Those are all symptoms of stress or of anxiety. And that is really a good way to say, oh, wait a second, maybe I really am dealing with some fight or flight stuff. Maybe it's not just because my estrogen is dropping and my ovaries are turning to dust. That could be part of it for sure. I mean, that definitely does a number on us. And if you're not there yet, God bless you. It's something. It really, really is. And if you're a guy listening to this and you're like, oh, wait, that does sound like my wife. Give her some grace because there's a lot going on inside these bodies that we're trying to figure out. And so much of it is rooted in love and also mass chaos inside of our nervous systems and in our hormone levels. And some other things you might notice along with this. And to be fair, part of this is going to be hormonal, but those hormone changes so often come with a rise in cortisol that can cause those feelings of stress and anxiety to get worse. So it's probably a little bit of both. It could be your reaction to how the cortisol feels in your body, or it could be the hormones, or it could be something that you've been doing all along. Let's just gotten worse recently. But let's talk about some other things that you might feel that you might use as a key that you are definitely in that fight or flight mode. If you notice that you're sick more often, like suddenly I've got a cold every time someone gets a cold. I never used to get a cold. Or I'm constantly feel like I have a headache. I can't sleep. I'm putting on weight. I'm bloated all the time. I used to be able to eat whatever I want and now that I can't. I am overwhelmed. I'm completely burned out. I'm exhausted and everything feels like too much and garbage. Everything feels like, what a waste of time. This is garbage. Hit pause. Those are all symptoms of being in that fight or flight or that stress and anxiety mode. They're also symptoms of how your brain changes when you're in the middle of maybe premenopause or menopause. And they could just be that you have a lot on your to-do list. And all of those things can happen at the same time. You might also notice that your focus or your productivity isn't really what it used to be. Maybe you can't recall words exactly the same because that tends to be a thing that I've noticed. Or you're like, "Oh, I can't stay on this one topic. My brain just does not want to do it." Maybe you've even decided suddenly that you think, "I don't know, maybe I've had ADHD my entire life." I did an episode on this, you guys. I thought, like, how did I not know that I had ADHD my entire life? So I actually went to my doctor and got ADHD medicine. Turns out it was just hormones and just where my life is right now. But if you've noticed that you can't focus or that you're less productive or I just can't make a decision right now, it all feels like too much. Mhm. That's because that part of your brain that shuts down when you're in fight or flight isn't working correctly. I'll explain more about that in just a minute. If your relationships are feeling strained, like, I just do not have any tolerance for the BS anymore. Like, I look at my husband and I love him, but I also want to punch him in the face. Not because they're doing anything wrong, just because it's a you thing. That's part of the hormones and the like amped up nervous system thing. And the hardest one, or maybe the saddest one, is that you're just like, you know what? Everything feels heavy. And it's not fun anymore. Like, I don't know what would bring me joy. Guys, life is way too precious and way too important. And there's so many good things going out there. I want you to get to a place where you can relax and that you have the energy to feel that joy and that excitement and to know that you can do whatever the hell you want to do. That takes confidence. And we're going to work on all of those things in coaching. But let's go back to what I said about the decision fatigue for a minute, because this is important to know what's actually going on potentially, not always, but potentially if you are in a fight or flight place. What happens is you have the new brain and the old brain. I have episodes on this in the past as well, and I'll try to remember to put some of those in the show notes. But your old brain is like the lizard brain, or I like to call it the caveman brain. And that part of your brain's job is really just to keep you alive. It tells your heart to beat. It tells you to like fight off the saber-toothed tiger that doesn't exist, to run away from the monsters. It's what gives those people the energy and the strength to be able to lift, like little old ladies can lift cars off of people. That is the old part of your brain. It is survival. And it does a great job. It's part of the reason that fight or flight is actually a necessary function as long as it doesn't stay on all the time. The newer part of your brain is your frontal lobe. This is the part that learns algebra or that decides between right and wrong decisions or that, that thinks through think through things. And when that old part of your brain is in charge, or when it's on, that new part of your brain just kind of gets shut down or put into the background. So it works a little bit. It starts creating crazy stories about what could potentially be wrong, but it's not working fully. So this is where we really need to learn something we can do to get out of that fight or flight, because right now you're doing the very best that you can. It's just not working long term. And if you've been this way for a while, it makes sense that you're like, "Oh my gosh, what is wrong? Just like push me 6 feet under because I this is way too much. Like I can't think at all anymore." So let's talk about how really taking care of that vagus nerve and learning how to, whether you want to call it massage your vagus nerve or whatever it is. It sometimes it always sounds dirty to me, and I don't know, maybe I have like the brain of a 12-year-old boy. But let's talk about how you can massage your vagus nerve. Okay. So, if you're pushing through and you're using all of the tools that you already have, let's say that you get up, you're exhausted, and you grab a cup of coffee. I love coffee. And I'll be the first one to tell you that you can have anxiety, even disordered anxiety, and still enjoy coffee. Coffee is not the problem. You're using coffee to kickstart your day, but you're just drinking a ton of it. And if you are sensitive to how it makes you feel more anxious. And I don't want that for you either, because coffee is delicious. Maybe then you come home and you're so keyed up from a long day at work that the first thing you do is grab a glass of wine. And you're like, well, I better put the brakes on the coffee. So I'm going to drink a glass of wine. And we know that that's not good for us either, right? Like, I'm not saying don't ever have a glass of wine, but I am saying that if that's your go-to method to relax, we need to talk. Okay. Or maybe you're just pushing yourself harder to do more and you are completely drained. Like I'm not finding any joy. I'm exhausted. I can't even think about it. If you are pushing yourself to do things and if it feels like it's just another thing on your to-do list that you are just like get through, get through, get through, you're missing the entire point of life. And in my opinion, life is here for us to enjoy it and to take part in it, not to get through it as fast as we can, because we're missing the good stuff. We're missing time with our friends. We're missing watching our kids be successful people that were like, oh my gosh, wow, look at them. Look at how proud I am of them. We're missing connecting with our partners. We're missing making a difference in the world in our job. Even if your job is, I'm a barista 2 nights a week, maybe your job is making the best cup of coffee somebody's ever had that day, just like helping them smile. If you're missing out on those little moments, that's what makes life life. And we have to get you out of fight or flight by getting to the root of the problem. And that really comes down to taking care of your nervous system that is completely out of whack. So, what you need is a reset. You don't necessarily, not always, I am not saying there's not a place for medication. I took medication for 20 years, but you don't necessarily need medication for something if this is something that you can start to get a handle on, either as you take medication to further help that medication work, or to just see, like how much of this can I get under control myself, maybe to take a lower dose or eventually go off of it, which is what I did. I don't take medication. I haven't taken it in, gosh, 3 years now, maybe. I feel better than I've ever felt. And I mean, I took it for 20 years and depended on it. So, learning these things, I can tell you from personal experience and from working with my clients that these things work. Okay. This works and your nervous system needs this. You can use it to help you instead of fighting against it. When you learn how to tone this vagus nerve or massage this vagus nerve, and you start to regulate how your body processes emotions, how it perceives the world, starting to be able to think clearly again, everything changes. And some of the things that you'll notice are that you can actually sleep at night because you're not laying awake with like tension in your body, your brain's not going 100 miles an hour, you're not full of cortisol keeping you awake. You'll notice that you're starting to digest food better. Maybe you're not as bloated. Maybe you just don't get as many stomach aches. Maybe you're actually hungry again or not starving all the time. You're able to tell when you're hungry and when you're not. That's a big deal. You might also notice that you're able to focus, or that you're in a better mood, where you might have come home grouchy and just feeling exhausted or like you were going to cry. Maybe you come home and you're like, oh, I mean, work was kind of crappy, but I'm really happy to be home now. All of these things can change when you start regulating your nervous system. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have the confidence to set boundaries and to stop people pleasing. You're going to have more patience so that you're not arguing with your spouse or your kids. You're going to have the emotional bandwidth to do hard things and to feel big emotions. And you're going to feel a lot more confident. Yes, yeah, like all of those things. This all happens, okay? So get ready. I want to tell you how you can start toning this vagus nerve. Even if you're super busy, you can do this in your car. You can do it while you're at your desk at work. You can do it if you are a college student and you're listening to this, or if you're a high school student and you're listening to this. You can do this at school. You can do this anywhere. And a lot of these things you can do and nobody has to know because these are normal everyday activities. So, one of the first things you can do is breathe slower. Breathe slower. If you are a person who is stressed or anxious, your body's preparing for you to either get in a big fight, have to run away fast, or like it's pumping you full of adrenaline, right? So slowing your breathing on purpose so that you take about 6 breaths a minute. Now, I don't expect you to sit here and count, like look at your watch and say, okay, but that was 8. Okay. So here's what we want to do. We want to try inhaling for 5 seconds. So you're going to inhale and then you're going to hold your breath for 5 seconds. And this is the important part. You're going to exhale for 7 seconds. Now, if your breath capacity or your lung capacity isn't quite that big, you can go for 4 seconds in, a 4-second hold, and a 6-second exhale. You can do 3 seconds in, a 3-second hold, and a 5-second exhale. The point is really to exhale longer than you inhale. I always recommend that my clients practice this for at least 5 minutes a day, preferably 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, or 5 minutes whenever you've got 5 minutes. You can do this at your desk. No one will know because you're just breathing, and we do it all the time and nobody pays any attention. A second thing you can do is move your body, even when you're tired, and especially when you're tired, and absolutely 100% if you feel stressed or anxious. Doing things like lifting weights. And if you're like, ew, don't make me do that. Okay, just take a walk. Take a 10-minute brisk walk. Walk at a fast pace. Or if you're into working out or you want to start working out, do a HIIT exercise, like high interval training, where this really just helps your nervous system learn how to bounce back. HIIT workouts are fantastic for learning what does it feel like when my heartbeat is going really fast and I feel sweaty. And what does it feel like when I come back to center? It teaches you what it feels like so that you're less reactive when your body feels that way. And that's really important. So moving your body is absolutely imperative. If you're like, but I don't like to work out and I don't know how to do that, how to even start with walks. That's what I started with. I started with walking. I really did. And if you know my story, I started walking so I could eat more cookies and not gain weight, which is not the best reason, but it got me to where I am today. So I'm happy about it. Another thing you can do, and this one's funny because I noticed after the fact, which is when we notice most things, that I intuitively did this. When you feel anxious or you feel stressed, hum or gargle water while you're brushing your teeth or something like that, or sing in the car. And so a lot of us will notice, like, when we feel really maybe you feel really angry and you're like, "Screw it, I'm gonna go, like, put my headphones on, I'm just gonna, like, scream or sing songs." Suddenly you feel better. Part of that is because the vibration that your vocal cords make when you sing or hum or gargle massages your vagus nerve, which is really weird, isn't it? But if you notice that you start to feel, anxious about something, just a quiet, like that in the back of your throat can calm that down. If you're sitting by yourself somewhere and you can let out a slow hum for a while, your vagus nerve loves it. And it can really help you develop that, like that calmness, or bring back, I guess, develop that resilience and bring back that feeling of calm inside your body. Another thing you can do if you are in a pinch, and maybe this isn't great at work, but this could work at home, is to splash cold water in your face or get in a cold shower. It will shock the crap out of your nervous system, but it triggers you to figure out how to breathe. Like, you have to exhale, and your first response is going to be hold your breath. But if you can exhale that out, it really triggers that relaxation response. Another thing you can do is laugh, because laughing comes with humming or making noises, and it massages that vagus nerve. It also releases endorphins. I'm talking way too fast. It releases endorphins, which give you those feel good feelings of happiness. Yes, girls' night out counts. Yes, playing with a baby or a puppy counts. Watching like funny shows on TV, all of that counts. Now, I know there are a lot of funny things on social media, and I have to admit that I crack up at hilarious memes all the time, and that's great. But I am gonna caution you about using your phone to be able to laugh. Not because there's not funny stuff out there absolutely is, but because your phone is a slippery slope. You can pick it up to see something funny and wind up buried in things that are making you feel more anxious. So find a different way. Tell jokes. I mean, do something stupid and see what happens. Finding other ways, preferably off your phone, that make you laugh. Again, that is going to support your vagus nerve and really massage it or relax it or whatever you want to call it. And finally, really doing things to support your gut biome. I mentioned at the very beginning that your vagus nerve runs from your guts, like from your digestive system to your brain. It's just a long nerve that goes down your body. If your gut biome is out of whack from alcohol, from stress, from food additives, from junk food, too much sugar, or any of those things, if you have taken a ton of antibiotics for a long time, certain medications can do this as well, then this is really where we get into something that's it's real, but it's not medically necessarily diagnosable, called leaky gut. So supporting that gut biome with probiotics, prebiotics, omega-3s, and really just making sure that you're eating whole foods, foods that have been touched by like rain, dirt, or sunshine. And so if it's an orange, it's an orange. If it's turkey, it's turkey. If it's milk, it's milk. Those kinds of things can really help bring your gut biome back into check. And when that happens, it makes the signals from your gut to your brain, which are 100% tied together. This is like a whole separate episode, but really taking care of your gut lowers your levels of anxiety. And they are finding that one of the things that can actually help patients who are depressed and anxious is changing what they eat and eating less processed foods and less sugar, less alcohol, things like that. And that's really, and vaping, y'all, that's tearing people's guts up. So really paying attention to your gut. And these little things that you can do are so simple. And I realize that you're like, I mean, changing what I eat is hard. We can talk about that in coaching. That's one that seems sticky for people because we love our food, right? Because we get that little bit of dopamine, we get those feel good chemicals, and it tastes good. So we kind of get hit with a double whammy on that one. But I promise you that it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. It's just finding ways that work for you. And that is what I do. I take every single client from where they are forward to where they want to be by finding what works specifically for them. So you do not have to spend days and weeks doing trial and error from the last thing you saw on social media, picking up the next book. It's all great advice, but the more you learn, sometimes it's the more that you're focusing on how bad you feel, and that's not helping you either. So let's figure out what works for you so that you can start stacking these habits and making sure that they're happening consistently so that you're constantly toning that vagus nerve. Kind of like if you are lifting a weight for your biceps, you don't want to just stop because then your bicep will shrink again. You want to keep building. So we want to keep building these habits. So if you want help figuring out where you need to begin, at the beginning of this episode, I talked about what I do. If this episode hit home for you and you're like, oh my God, this is me, this is my life, then I want to be able to talk with you. And I personally invite you right now to join me for a balance and boundaries audit. This is a free session that I do with people. It is not a coaching consultation or anything like that. It just helps you get clear on what's going really well for you right now, because it's so important to be able to celebrate and give ourselves some really good feel good chemicals by saying, oh my gosh, you know what? I really am killing it in this part of my life. It's also going to show you the parts where maybe it's not going so well. And maybe everything just feels out of whack across the board, but you're not really sure why. This is going to help you see what's going on in different parts of your life that, like, okay, this part sounds clunky. Tell me more about why you rated it this way. And then we're going to start to see this like invisible string that goes through all these different parts and say, you know what? In every single one of these things, you talked about your schedule. So it sounds to me like this is something that you need to focus on. You're going to get off of this boundaries and balance audit knowing exactly where you need to focus your time and attention and intention to start making progress so that you feel like, oh, wait, I've got it. I'm not going to give you a sales pitch on this call at all. I'm going to say, here's what it is. Now, I am going to tell you that if you want to know more, we can talk later. Or if you know exactly that if you tell me, whoa, I need help with this, yes, we'll talk about it. But this is just a chance for you to know with zero pressure. This is just a way for you to get a bird's eye view of your life. All right. It's a fantastic thing. I've had so many women go through it. It is incredible. It is free. And you can go to my website. It is www.megandevito, MEGANDEVITO.com. It will pop right up. You can read all about what goes on in the audit, and you can schedule using the button there. It'll take you straight to my calendar, and you can pick a time that works for you. The call's about 45 minutes, somewhere between half hour and 45 minutes, and it's fantastic. And I'm going to send you a whole summary of what we talked about on the call. I hope this episode was helpful for you. Remember, this is super duper easy. Change how you breathe, move your body, sing a song, splash some cold water on your face, laugh, and eat good food. All things that sounds pretty enjoyable, doesn't it? All right, you guys, if I don't talk to you on an audit, I will be back again next week. Take care.